Mel, 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 Mel. Everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everyone, Cantonese Cat here. PayPal, monthly chart. I want to show you a few things I'm seeing. I see a lot of very positive development here on PayPal. First one is going to be what the whales are doing. This is a monthly chart, and you see a big giant green buy signal over here, signifying that the whales have finally been done with their outflow and starting to come with a little bit of an inflow over here. You can see that the inflow is continuing, even though price just kind of went sideways so far for the month of April. This is a very, very nice trend of reducing whale outflow and increasing whale inflow. So generally you want to see that before a bull market is to happen. And we're seeing that right over here. It's nice to have something back there to kind of back test and kind of show you what happened last time when something like that was to happen. Now, a couple other indicators here to show you. If you look at the Bollinger Band, it's still unfortunately below the 20-month moving average, so it's still going to end up having a little bit of resistance over here. And I think this resistance currently is going to be around like 68.8. I still think the resistance over here could be a little bit tough to just kind of break right out of that. But I would like to see, because of a very, very nice base forming pattern over here, and also because of very nice well inflow, I would like to see maybe over the next month or two for it to break above the 20-month average, turn it flat, back test it a little bit, and then push up further. Right now, you'd end up having a lot of like even the Bollinger Band here is telling you, hey, it's coiling again. It's been coiling over here because price just kind of gone sideways over here for quite some time. It's coiling over here again. So they're trying to tell you, hey, maybe a bigger move is going to happen. I would like to see the bigger move pointing up because of what the whale inflows are doing, but we'll see what happens. I mean, right now the 20-month moving average is still pointing down, so there's no guarantee. Do I think that the price at bottom though? I do think so, because this had the same exact look, and I've shown you this before. This had the same exact look, where if you look at the Nasdaq during the dot-com bubble, that's exactly kind of what it did. It bounced from the upper Bollinger Band, bounced to the lower end of the Bollinger Band on this big giant down move over here, instead of bouncing up from the lower Bollinger Band, because the lower Bollinger Band is also, negative sloping, it was also expanding downwards. It ended up bounced down. It ended up kind of get close to the other end of the Bollinger Band over here before it was really able to find its footing to go up again. I think PayPal did the same thing over here. What it did is it bounced from the upper Bollinger Band and it ended up going to the lower Bollinger Band, but because of how negative sloping it is, you end up having to bounce downwards and test the lower Bollinger Band again on the other side. So I do think that PayPal has this significant, crazy kind of downtrend here. I do think PayPal has bottom over here, and I have made many posts on this back in around October, November of 2023. Selling volume also has been extremely exhausted. You can see like down here is already exhausting. Right over here is exhausting even more. Right now, I end up having some pretty significant buying over here with increasing volume over here. So I do think that this trend has bucked. I think that you're starting to see a little bit more of a bullish energy, although we're hitting a little bit of resistance here. Volume to end up declining over here, so there might be a little bit of consolidation, a little bit of volatility here that might be coming up soon. But we'll see. The important thing, though, instead of looking at just the 20-moving average pointing up, there is a positive development that we were seeing. If you look at the Ichimoku cloud, you remember when I was telling you, I like to see on a bull market or turning into a bull market, I like to see Tenkan as support and not as resistance. So I like to see it flip from resistance to support. Right now, it just did that on the month of March 2024. It flipped it from resistance over here, broke the resistance, and now for April, we're kind of testing it as support. And I would like to see the Tenkan continue to point up to push the price up higher. You can see over here, it served as pretty bad resistance here for closer to a year now, right? But we just flipped this important thing here from resistance to support. Guess what happens when the Tenkan is support? Look at what happened over here during the bull market. It's just keep on riding the Tenkan up, riding the Tenkan up, and take it up. Over here, it ended up having a little bit of a breakdown below it, during COVID, but it continues to ride up until it broke down. So I think we're potentially seeing a little bit of an inflection point here where, hey, you have a little bit of break above and a little bit of back test. You have a little bit of breakdown over here, a little bit of back test, failed, and it just boom, it just went down, right? So what should you expect moving forward? Well, I just show you there is some key resistance with the 20-month moving average, and there's some key support down here at the Tenkan. So that's why I'm saying I think there might be some additional volatility here. If you look at a volume shelf, it did end up successfully bouncing here at the bottom of this, or at the top of this volume shelf down here below. It might end up doing a little bit of a sideways and ping-ponging before going up further because you still have a pretty significant volume shelf over here. So I think that your price might end up hitting like 70, and it might end up having to back test some of this stuff and push up, which is kind of what I'm thinking in terms of what Tenkan would go. You probably end up going to need a little bit of a back test here before some bullish continuation, which is also what I'm thinking the 20-month moving average is going to end up doing is you may end up having a little bit of a break back above, but you want to really help flatten this 20-month moving average and maybe back test it down, maybe ping-ponging here for a few months or so before breaking above this big giant volume shelf up here, which is going to be a little bit harder to break, I would think. But is it going to spend a whole year and a half to do it? No. I mean, I think there's a potential when things get impulsive, you can end up breaking out all of this volume shelf up here within a few months. And maybe by 2025, we might be above this, and we might be challenging some of the triple digits up here. But I wouldn't necessarily count on PayPal being triple digits in the year of 2024 because you're still seeing a lot of significant resistance over here. Is this still going to be a pretty decent buy? I think so. I think that there is a lot of potential upsides. It's just going to be a lot slower, and that's okay. I'm okay with kind of continuing to buy into this and kind of seeing kind of whiplash between these volume shelves over here, maybe for a couple of months, maybe for longer, before breaking out maybe towards the end of the year or maybe even early next year. I expect to see triple digits sometime in perhaps like the first half of 2025, but of course none of this is a guarantee, but it does seem to be building up a very, very significant base over here, and wells are coming, so there are some pretty bullish signs over here. Now if you look at a weekly, you also see a lot of pretty interesting thing over here too. On the weekly, you put the bull line support band. The bull line support band has been negative sloping for since really October 2021. It has never really turned positive sloping at all. But right now is positive sloping now. This is a bullish development. Price kind of went sideways over here for about 4 months and turned the bull run support band flat, and now is turning it up sloping. So it could potentially, even if it having a little bit of a downtrend here, it could potentially start to support down here at the low 60s before its bullish continuation. And you can also see that on the weekly chart, you have some, slowly having some like increased buying volume over here, and maybe a little bit of a decreased selling volume over here. And price just kind of been consolidating around this range, waiting for a little bit of a breakout. Over here, if you take a little bit of a zoom in, you can see that it's been forming like a lot of these kind of like cups and a little bit of like these smaller cup kind of pattern. So this does look like there's a little bit of a range between, up here, which again, I just showed you with a big giant volume shelf up here. Right, and you also have a little bit of a volume shelf down here is trying to back test before its bullish continuation. I think we're going to end up having some pretty significant resistance here at the mid 70s, where price has spent a significant amount of time over here. But if you were to bot around here, you're buying the bottom of a range between these two areas, right? So I still think it's a pretty decent risk-reward ratio in terms of what's happening. Although if you're chasing hot models and cars, then PayPal may not be for you. But if you're looking for something that gives you more stability, something that's going to give you a little bit better risk-reward ratio, I do think that right now we might be at like a little bit of bottom of a range that is probably going to end up ranging here for a few months between, like the mid-60s to like the mid-70s. So we'll see what happens. A lot of traders are also probably going to be very, very happy to trade this range here too. So you're going to end up having some traders going to come in and play this. So that might end up having a little bit of like a negative catalyst because of that, but that's okay. Ichimoku Cloud, very positive development. Broke inside the Ichimoku Cloud. When it breaks inside of it, a lot of times when it ends up happening, it could end up kind of floating around here for a while. I do expect over the next couple months or so, we're going to back test the 69 what is it? Yeah, 69.4 range up here. I do think it's going to end up back testing, maybe initially find a little bit of resistance. But once things break above the cloud, I see it potentially back testing the cloud down here before its bullish continuation. This is a very, very bullish development over here, because in order to buck a bear trend, in order to reverse a bear trend, you have to break into the Ichimoku cloud. It didn't even come close for several times, but now you're breaking into the Ichimoku cloud here on the weekly, and this is how a lot of altcoins a few months ago end up breaking out. By the way, they end up breaking into the Ichimoku cloud over here, kind of flow around here for a few months before breaking out, and when it breaks out, it's very, very impulsive. So I can see it potentially doing that. When it breaks out, it might end up hitting some of the resistance up here, back testing the cloud a little bit here before its bullish continuation. But I like the fact that it's breaking into the Ichimoku cloud. I hope it doesn't fall out of it, obviously, but you're breaking into something that tends to serve a little bit as a magnet before its determination of its next trend. And because of the base form behavior here, because of the whale buying, I do think the next trend is probably going to end up being up. So that's PayPal. I'm going to talk about another stock up here. Oh, let me before I move on to another stock, I do want to kind of go through the I want to go through the Fibonacci levels over here. It's so far above here, there's not even any like retracement levels out here that's really worth mentioning. I just want to kind of show you from like this all-time high all the way to the cycle low. We're not even really hitting any of the important Fibonacci levels here. The next important Fibonacci retracement level from the highs here to low here is like at $85, $86, and the next one's going to be at like the hundreds. So this is not going to be entirely helpful. But if you use that, instead of doing that, if you look at this maybe more at, okay, so maybe the highs over here, we can use that as the one level. And what it's doing right now is pretty clear. It's been using the Fibonacci levels as breakout and back test, and now it's hitting a little bit of Fibonacci level resistance here around 68. I think it's probably going to end up breaking out above and probably going to end up getting closer to some of the volume shelf levels up here. But do I think that price could get up to the 130s, 120s, 130s potentially by the end of the year or early next year? Yes, I do. We'll see what happens. Now, instead of talking about PayPal, I also want to talk about another stock that I do own. And this is also one of my favorite stock here, because I did pick out a lot of some very bullish development down here. I posted a lot about Affirm down here because of the monthly trend, the monthly chart here showing a lot of decreasing in selling volume and a lot of increasing buying volume. And it's actually, matter of fact, it's actually kind of insane in terms of like what kind of longer term bullish setup this is. Just look at like the crazy buying volume here ever since May of 2023. Like this buying volume here is no joke. There's like a little bit of a joke selling volume over here, a red candle over here with like pretty pathetic volume. But then since then, like the breakout over here is really no joke. Like it broke about this zone right here on huge volume. Look at that. And right now it's just been spending 4 months just trying to backtest this level over here on like absolutely pathetic volume. Because the low commitment that the bears are showing, when this thing breaks out, it can get up to like the 90s in a hurry. Like by the end of the year, like could be like a $90 stock, because of how pathetic the bears have been showing here. This also looked like a pretty classic cup and handle formation, doesn't it? Where you have a resistance level over here that's expected, form a very, very nice big giant cup, and it spent about 4 months forming a low volume handle over here. And it's a little bit of reaccumulation consolidation over here before breaking up. Affirm is going to be a very, very economically sensitive stock. If you have a recession, Affirm's not going to do well. Do the whales think that you're going to end up having a recession by looking at these big giant buying volume candles over here? By the way, volume candles are a way to tell what the whales are doing, because retail generally don't move volumes like this, the whales do. Do you think the whales think that there's a recession coming anytime soon? Do you think their whales are really worried about, rates higher for longer is going to cause a recession over the next 12 months, 18 months or so? Doesn't look like it. If they did, they wouldn't be staying in a firm. I mean, this is just absolutely pathetic. If you look at the volume shelf, a lot of people are scared that it's going to get back down to like the 20s. They're worried that there's going to be a lot of air up here. But it's forming these new volume shelves. Volume shelves is only a way for you to tell what price history is in the past, but it can also potentially form its own price history and form its own volume shelf around this time. Like, there's no guarantee it's going to end up dropping down to the 20s. It's not on this pathetic volume over here. Can it drop down to the 20s? Sure. If it drops down to the 20s on low volume like this, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to end up buying more. Like, this is absolutely pathetic in terms of its bearish energy here. Like, there is no bearish energy. I'm looking at this, I'm just like shocked. Like, what is going on here? Anyway, to me, it doesn't guarantee it's not going to drop down to the 20s, right? I mean, that's always a possibility. On low volume, if there's a buyer strike, it can end up happening. But the bearish energy, the sell volume is also telling me like this. Even the sellers are not committed. So we'll see what happens. Again, I keep saying we'll see what happens, but that's the truth. Like, we'll see what happens. I'm going to make guesses to tell you what's happening. What is the Bollinger Band telling us? Bollinger Band is telling us a little bit of expansion up here. 20-month moving average pointing up. Very nice development of a bull trend over here over the last year or so. You can clearly tell that it's making higher high, higher low, higher high, and try to find a higher low here. Very nice bull trend. Again, very bullish setup. I don't know when it's going to bottom over here on low volume. I don't care. I'm not selling. The other things to kind of look at is, if you want to look at the Ichimoku cloud, what price has been doing is on the month of April, there are some pretty nice development that's been happening. One development is that it had a bullish cross over here between the Tenkan and the Kijun. Right? That's generally going to be indicative, hey, longer term bull trend could be coming over the next 12 to 18 months. That's what it generally suggests. Like, it's not a guarantee, but it's generally what it suggests, right? So the other thing is, I do think that the Tenkan here is being tested as support over here. It did end up having a big volume breakout, and now it's having a low volume backtest. Last month, it ended up backtesting right at the Tenkan. The Tenkan last month was 32.64. This month is kind of going down below a little bit, because the Tenkan did end up going up a little bit, but the price did end up going down a little bit. Right now, the Tenkan is 33.07. So I do think it's trying to backtest this Tenkan here on low volume, and you just had a pretty nice bullish cross over here. So even if the price goes down a little bit more, I don't buy it. I think that they're trying to trick you. But anyway, weekly. Very nice, beautiful handle here for this big giant cup. Very nice buying volume over here, very sad selling volume over here. It's a lot more apparent here on the weekly. If you look at the Ichimoku cloud here on the weekly, it's kind of a little bit, hugging these Tenkan Kijun lines over here. The weekly trend is still bullish, although the Tenkan is just kind of up, down sloping here a little bit. But the weekly trend over here is still bullish, and it has been bullish ever since the bullish cross over here in July 2023. Still very much a bull trend over here. If you look at the weekly moving averages, you can still see that it's still got a very nice bull trend. Very nice separation between the 20, 50, and 100 moving average. Even the 100 moving average is really starting to point up over here. 50 is going to continue to come up, so if it ends up going through the 20s, I do think that the 50-week moving average is going to serve as pretty decent support. I'm just not sure it's going to end up doing that. Just look at how pathetic the sell volume over here is. This week did end up having a little bit of an inverted, hammer candle over here. Sometimes that's how bottoms are formed, where either, with these kind of inverted hammers or like a hammer candle. Sometimes that's kind of how like a bottom is formed. Again, there's no guarantee, but again, look at the volume. I just don't buy it. I don't think the whales are really worried about higher for longer recession coming. This is just another indicator to kind of show you that. even if you're not interested in a stock like Affirm, I think it's good to see what Affirm is doing, so you can see, actually use Affirm as like a eye to the window of macroeconomics to see what the whales are thinking, what is going to happen, because it doesn't make sense. What the narratives in terms of the traditional financial media, like none of that really makes any sense to me. So that was Affirm. I'm going to pull up some of the other things here, but I think it's better to move back up to the monthly. Instead of looking at the volume shelf, let's pull up the Fibonacci retracement levels and see what we're dealing with here. I'm supposed to wake up just now. Oops, I guess I'm already awake. Let me turn that off. Now, if you pull up the Fibonacci levels here, I think it's showing you a very, very clear picture in terms of what it's doing. It got retraced very impulsively to the 0.236 Fibonacci level. And what it's doing is forming a very nice handle, a very nice back test here at the 0.136 Fibonacci level over here. Guess what's going to happen on low volume on a pretty decent support level over here, both in terms of the monthly Tenkin as well as the very important Fibonacci level over here. I think it's probably going to end up bouncing, if you ask me. And when it bounces, oh man, I think it might bounce pretty hard. We'll see what happens though. I could be completely wrong. Next thing you know, all it takes is just a big, giant sell candle with big red volume for the trend to reverse. But a trend is a trend. A trend is your friend. You keep following the trend until the very end, until you see that there's some kind of exhaustion. There's not really any like exhaustion on the monthly chart, by the way. Like if you just pull up the RSI, you know, all it's doing is just, yeah, push up. Okay, let's cool down here a little bit. Like there's not really any exhaustion over here on the monthly. On the weekly, another thing to kind of show you here on the weekly is a very important thing here. This is a very nice hidden bullish divergence where price just kind of went from what, like 17 or so, went all the way up to like 32. But the RSI has been significantly reset down here. This is a very nice hidden bullish divergence, resetting the RSI, allowing price to go up a lot higher on declining volume. There's something here that is like, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense here, does it? The unbalanced volume is not going to tell you too much from that time frame, but something else on a closer time frame is also kind of telling you a little bit something here too. You have a very nice bullish divergence that's been building up here, where price just kind of went down over here, but the unbalanced volume is actually up. There's actually some secret buying pressure over here, even when price is going down, based on what I'm seeing here on the unbalanced volume. So you have a lot of really nice weekly bullish and hidden bullish divergences on the firm that are just a miss. If you just look at price action, you get scared, you get frustrated. I'm not. Like, look, this is one of those situations. I'm looking at price, I'm like, whatever. I want to go through one more stock, then I'll stop the video. Shopify. What Shopify is doing is also very obvious. And it's so obvious, it's almost laughable. It is doing something very, very traditional, which is it broke out above this level over here and it's trying to backtest it. It had, I'm also going to pull up, like this is a very, very clear picture here. Like I cannot say it any more clear. There are a lot of lines here. Don't worry about the lines. I'll go through them one by one. All right. Horizontal zone. Important horizontal zone here. Broke down. Broke back above. Rejected. Very important horizontal zone here, right? Rejected. Going back down. Push above this level over here on relatively higher volume. Got rejected here at the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud around February. And back testing this important horizontal zone right here. What it's doing right now is it formed a very nice cup and handle. Broke above the neckline and is back testing that level. That's exactly what it's doing. There's no magic in terms of what it's trying to do. It's back testing also on declining volume here too. So the sellers are actually not committal. It also is backtesting the Tenkan over here. This is getting a little bit busy. I'm going to get rid of this line over here. You get it. You get what I'm trying to say. Cup and handle backtest. Tenkan, resistance, flipped, support here, and right now it's backtesting the support again. This is bull market behavior. Tenkan has been going up. It's probably going to end up keep going up. Kijun had a nice bullish Tenkan Kijun cross over here. When you have a nice cross over here, you're basically saying there's a sustainable bull market that's already happening now. It could keep going. This is the primary trend. The trend is bullish. I don't care if you have decreased volume on the way up. Bull market, you can end up having melt up, going much higher. Like, it doesn't matter. Here, you have volume that kind of went from here that's declining for like 2 years. Price that went from like the 40s to like 150s, 160s. I don't care if it's declining volume. I don't care about that. I don't care if it's declining volume over here. All it takes is just having a little bit of increased volume here for it to continue this very impulsive bull trend, right? So this is Shopify. Like, to me, this is no mystery. This is an extremely decent setup, and we're right there at some pretty important support here in the high 60s. I mean, it could break down here a little bit. I don't care. Now, you can try to trick you and break down here a little bit. But based on the confluence of the horizontal zone, based on the confluence of this Tenkan support over here, man, like, this is a very, very nice setup. It kind of broke above the upper Bollinger Band here back in February, couldn't sustain, went back down, went sideways over here. But the 20-month moving average is clearly pointing up. This is a very, very nice monthly bull trend here. The other thing to show you is, if you look at the weekly is also giving away to, like, you remember when I was telling you this is like the monthly Tenkan level here? The weekly is also showing you a very nice confluence level over here, which is the bull market support band. It kind of broke below that a little bit. But if you also look at another level over here, if I can pull up the simple average, it also seems like it's touching the 30. And 30 also seemed to mean something here for Shopify. It likes to touch 30 to bounce up. It likes to touch the 30 and break down below a little bit and bounce up. 30 seems to be also a pretty important level over here too in terms of the weekly moving average. So right now, is this still a bull trend? The answer is absolutely. If you look at the 20, 50, and 100, they're all pointing up. Even the 30 is pointing up. Right now, it's kind of get to 30 moving average. 20 is a little bit starting to slope down here a little bit, but I'm still okay. This is still a very nice weekly bull trend. It doesn't bother me as much. Like, could it backtest some of the levels down here like it did after it starts to downslope here a little bit? Sure. All it takes is just a little bit of a big giant green candle for it to have, some pretty nice bullish continuation. I still think that this candle over here is a little bit of a fake out. And I still think that what you're seeing here is still a very, very nice bull trend forming higher highs and higher lows. Is trying to find a higher low. I don't know where the higher low is going to be. Could it end up being at the 50-week moving average? Could it end up being this is it? You were hitting horizontal zone and you're just going to bounce from here. Could it end up being the monthly Tenkan, which is also right around this level over here? Could it end up being, any of that? I don't care. Like, this is another no-brainer for me. I think you're buying here. You probably end up buying here at some pretty decent risk-reward ratio down here. So that's Shopify. Let's end with looking at a couple of things here. One is the volume shelf. It's hitting a volume shelf here, got rejected from a volume shelf up here, hitting a volume shelf down here. You might end up ping-ponging between, around 90s and around like 70 high 60s. You might end up ping-ponging here for some additional time before going up further. When it gets up there, it's probably going to end up hitting some of these triple digits up here. I think it's completely reasonable for to expect these kind of prices around 2025 based on the trend. We'll see. Fibonacci levels. Let's pull up the Fibonacci from his all-time high down to his recent low. And that also is going to give you a pretty clear picture here. It got rejected from the 0.382. But I do think that it's just consolidating sideways here. Do I think it's going to go back down to 60? No. I think you're already trying to backtest that a little bit down here. I think it's probably going to end up finding some kind of support level down here. And it's going to end up having some bullish continuation here throughout 2025, throughout 2026. That's just my guess. It's been 30 minutes. It's been an honor to talk to you about 3 additional fintech stocks. I'm out. Bye.